If you're looking for an easy, no-bake, sweet treat that's naturally sweetened and healthy, you are in the right place because today we're going to be making peanut butter no-bake energy balls. I love these because they're naturally sweet, they're perfectly chewy, and totally addictive. And I don't know, I just think they're perfect for busy days. We've been making these for years now. We really enjoy having them around our house, and they're oftentimes one of our favorite after lunch treats. You know, when you're kind of craving something sweet, like maybe a cookie, these are a great alternative, and they're super easy to make. There's just a few ingredients involved, so let's get started. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about dates, because here I'm using Medjool dates, and I usually measure out about anywhere from 10 to 12. It depends on their size. When you're dealing with produce, sometimes things are different. And in fact, let's talk today about the difference in textures, because you can see when I peel open the date and get the pit out, sometimes they're very soft and chewy like that one, and sometimes they're a little bit firmer like this one. Watch this. I'm going to have to really pry it apart, and it's just really dry. I'm going to take the tip off, and I'm going to take this. You definitely don't want this in your food processor. This is a pit. So yeah, some of them are more dry than others. And since this batch has several dry dates in here, what I'm going to do is pop these in the microwave just for a few seconds. I actually like to do I'll just do a little sprinkle of water. I've just got some water here just to make sure that they stay a little soft, and just drizzle a little bit in there. And then I'm going to cover this up, and it's going to go in the microwave for, let's say, 30 seconds. While that cooks, we're going to move on to the next thing, which is our food processor. I love a recipe that involves a food processor. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 1 cup of rolled oats. You can use instant oats, but I find the rolled oats has the best texture. And to that, we're going to add around a 1/2 cup, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on how you like them. I've got just a scoop here, maybe a scoop and a half of, this is ground flaxseed. And when I talk about how much you're going to include in here, it depends on your tolerance for the flavor of ground flaxseed. Some people really don't like it all that much, and others don't mind. So if you find that you don't really like the flavor, you can take it down to a 1/4 cup, and that's going to be fine. But if you're like us and you want to get the flax and the omega-3s and all the the healthy benefits of flax, then we bump it up to pretty close to a 1/2 cup. So I think our dates are done. They've been in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and that's all it takes. They're just really soft. It's perfect. That's what we want, because we want to make sure that they're going to grind up perfectly. So these are going to go in the food processor. And then what I like to do is just do an initial run. I like to process in short bursts. It helps if you have the food processor on, right? Let's try this. Okay. Okay. There we go. Now you can see what we've got in here is it's the oats have been kind of combined and processed a little bit, and the dates are all mixed in. So that's very nice. It's perfect. Now what I like to add to that is, this is around a 1/2 cup of coconut flakes, and you can do that or not. It doesn't matter. I love the flavor of no-bake cookies, so this kind of reminds, when I add the coconut, it kind of gives me that flavor. My new addition is I like to add around, I guess this is almost 1 scoop of chocolate protein powder. And I like that because it gives it a nice little protein boost and adds a little bit of sweetness to it. Okay, this is around a 1/2 cup of nut butter. Here I've got a mixture of peanut butter and cashew butter, because that's what I had on hand. And you can just play around with that however you feel works best for you. And so we're going to combine that all together. Because I added the protein powder, I don't need to add salt, because protein powder has salt in it. But if you weren't adding the protein powder, you might want to add a little bit of salt just for that flavor, just a pinch. Okay, now the next thing we have to do is check the texture, because I like to be able to grab it and it should hold together. And this is pretty good, but there's still quite a bit of floury kind of feeling in here. So what I like to have on hand is a little bit of maple syrup, and I'll add a little bit of maple syrup to this, just a little bit. That stickiness is going to help it stay. I just like a little bit of a chewy texture. Let's see what we've got here. I think this is looking better. It's definitely better. See how I can grab it between my fingers and turn it into a ball? And that's actually, this would be just fine. However, my second trick is, if they're a little bit dry, is just to add just a little bit of water. And I'm going for extra chewy energy balls today, so I'm adding just a little bit more water. Okay. Yeah, that is perfect. Now see how now when I grab it, it's just like a big clump, and that's what I'm after. I love that. Okay, finally, we have to add chocolate chips. Of course, you know, if you're not into chocolate chips, how are you my friend? I don't even get this. But we're going to put these chocolate chips in here, and then I'm just going to give it a couple of more pulses just to get those combined. And then I'll get the spatula in here, and just to help them, just to get distributed throughout. Oh, I can just smell these. These are going to be so good. Now, I also want to just point out that if you're looking for an extra, you know, as I mentioned, that no-bake cookie flavor, sometimes I'll add a little bit of coconut extract. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. And I'm going to show you a little trick that I do. I always leave the tab on, and I get a toothpick and make a little hole. And that way, when I put this coconut extract in there, it just comes out one drop at a time, because you know how it is with extracts. They can be very flavorful. So just a few drops of coconut extract. Here we go. Get that spread around. Okay, we are good. Now, my other favorite tool I love to have with this recipe is, for sure, you want to have a cookie dough scoop. And the reason I like that is it makes sure that, you know, you're kind of getting an accurate measurement every time. But if you don't have one, you can just use a spoon. So I like to just scoop it out and then roll it between my hands like that. The one thing that's wonderful about making these yourself is that you can then decide how big they are going to be. If you want smaller ones, you totally could do that. You can, I love how you can, these are so easy to be, and they're so versatile. And they're great for a post-workout snack, or, you know, after school snack. I mean, talk about something that's healthy because it's so naturally sweetened. It's wonderful. How is that? Isn't that beautiful? So yeah, you can just, this will make around 20 energy balls, depending on how many you eat as you're making them, which is my problem. Yeah, just roll them between your fingers and your hands, and then that's all you have to do. You can just roll these out. You can imagine that this just took me a few minutes here, and it's easy to make. These are naturally gluten-free. Of course, it depends on whether, you know, you're using gluten-free flour or gluten-free oats. That's really the only ingredient you have to be careful about. So they're naturally sweetened. So many benefits to having energy balls around. And you can tell on this one, I added a little bit of cocoa powder. So that's the difference between this one and this one, is a little bit of cocoa powder. So that's what I love about them. You can just change them up however you want. So to store them, we keep them in an airtight container. Actually, we keep them at room temperature, and they'll last at least a week, if not longer, if they last that long. But if you want them to last longer than that, you can keep them in the fridge, or you can actually even freeze them. We do that all the time. We'll make a double batch, and sometimes we freeze them. That way you have easy access to energy balls. So I think it's time to taste this bad boy. Let's give this a go. Pretty good. That is so good. chocolate. Mm. It's infused with chocolate flavor. Super moist. So delicious. The dates, they have this kind of caramel flavor to them that just makes these irresistible. They're so good. Um, I love the flavor of the oats. Yeah, and a little bit of the coconut flavor that comes through. Amazing. You can see why we love these so much and why we have these in our house all the time. So I hope you do too. So I hope that you decide to give this recipe a try. And if you do, leave a comment below and tell me what your favorite add-ins are. I'd love to hear from you. If you have maybe some nuts that you're going to add or whatever, I'm just curious to hear from you. I hope you liked today's recipe. And if you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more recipes coming your way every week.